first script? Have you written other scripts? And
Officially, yeah. Yeah, I'm working on 3 others at the same time.
which will have a kind of philosophical, metaphysical, science background still? Or are they something
Yes.
completely different?
Yes, this was, I first wrote this script and I showed it to a friend of mine who's in show business, pretty doing well. And that's when his comment that he loved it so much, he said, hands down, this is really interesting. And that's what emboldened me to send it to Milan Festival. It is exciting. I think the idea is for the future, this was supposed to be a TV pilot. So imagine our protagonist then embarks on a journey of adventure in the future for episodes to come, and moving through the dimensions and so on and so forth, and secret societies and obstacles, and that would be an interesting show, I think.
And do you wish that you had looked at doing this kind of thing a time period ago, or is now the right time to do it? Of course, if you believe that our lives are repeated over and over again, I'll be asking you this question.
Yeah. So a million years from now, Steve and Al
We're sitting here.
we'll be having the same conversation again.
Or it could be a parallel universe. We're sitting opposite.
Exactly. And the beauty is that, you know what, as long as we're enjoying this, yeah, let's have it. Well, I mean, seriously, what do you expect to be different anyway, if there is ever a recurrence of life?
So do you believe that there is a physical death? I mean, sorry, there is a physical death, of course. Do you believe that death is not the end?
Yeah, of course. It's not the end. It cannot be the end. Nothing is the end in the universe. And interestingly enough, reputable scientists today say, whatever you find in my script, it may be possible. I read carefully what these guys are saying. They are saying that it is possible that we exist in multiple universes, dimensions at the same time. So it's scary. Obviously, I'm saying this is not a philosophical thesis or anything. This is a fiction, obviously. But imagine that you had this unpleasant car accident and you say, oh, thank God I survived. What if in that dimension you didn't? You simply are moving on, and dimensions are not linear. One is not after the other, it's all one. So we are experiencing life at the same time.
And all these other different dimensions?
Yes.
With all these other different possibilities?
Yes, different possibilities. And in some worlds, what we call worlds, somebody died, somebody's sick. Steve may be a scientist or a famous singer, and in this dimension he's different. And so that's I think is an appealing thing. It's a fictional thing, yeah.
But this is all kind of
Why not?
quantum and all kind of weird stuff where a particle will be in two places at the same time.
Yes.
Heisenberg, yeah.
Heisenberg uncertainty principle.
With the box, it's the box, isn't it?
Yes.
It's
the box. It's the human consciousness. Basically, that's a mind-boggling thing that the modern science is telling us today. And I decided how wonderful it would be to put it into characters and to show it as a movie. And I also had my personal thing, without going into details. But years ago, I had a very close brush with death, and I was so happy. And I'm like, how? One day I was just contemplating, and then the idea, like an epiphany, dawned on me, and it's like a voice, so to speak, right? And what if you didn't survive? Who says you survived?
Yeah, the parallel you.
Yeah. What if there is a place? And that's exactly what my protagonist, Allison, all of a sudden has a flashback that she actually woke up from that mansion, disappointed. She went out to hospital. Her boyfriend is holding her hand. There is a funeral. People are crying. Her students are there. It's simply wiped out from her memory. And what the doorkeepers did was just to shortcut her, so she wouldn't have to remember all that. And then she wakes up. And
why did you write it? There must be a reason you wrote it from a woman's point of view, because you
Yes.
And why did you choose to do that?
Why is she a woman?
No, well, why did you choose it as a female
Yeah.
central figure rather than a male?
To be honest with you, I just saw her as a female. In a way, it's me, of course, but I saw her as a female. For some reason, writers cannot explain why. You cannot rationalize everything. But at this point, I just saw images and flashbacks of this movie happening, and I saw her as a 32-year-old young woman. That's how I saw her. And I felt her name, her last name is Polish. Actually means something. It means a new person.
Right.
Nowalski.
Right.
Yeah. Novo. Yeah.
So you are, I'm assuming, you are actually of Polish descent, is that?
No. I'm Armenian by descent.
Right.
It's an ancient Christian nation. Long story, but no. I just somehow it just fits that Polish American for some reason. I just saw her.
Now, I just want to touch on something earlier. You said this was originally slated to be a TV pilot.
Yeah.
But what changed your mind about it not being that, or does it still have the possibility to be that?
Oh yeah. It is. I'm still working. I'm gonna have to add some more creepy stuff. So if this is not creepy enough, so there's gonna be some creepy stuff. But this is, as a short movie, honestly, it's too long for a short. So it's 30 pages. This is like totally borderline for a short movie. And I saw the requirements, and I said, why not? Let's do the short. And I sent it to Milan. The first festival I ever sent it. It's like
here you are.
Yeah, there you go. Just the first ever script and the first festival. To be honest with you guys, I mean, at first I thought that you guys are kidding. It's just some kind of a
no. We had a lot of
spam.
We had a lot of entries.
Yeah. And then when I talked to professionals and they said, "Oh my God, do you have any idea how many hundreds or maybe thousands of submissions there are?" And then I'm like, "Oh my God!" And then I got, you got in touch and we talked, and now I'm just pitching myself, realizing where I am.
And how do you stop yourself? Because I know, like you said, you're a teacher, and I think,
yes,
this has now become a part of your life.
Yes.
But how do you stop it taking over what your career is? Does that make sense? I mean, do you have a separation?
No, actually not at all. This is a normal continuation. All this stuff I teach my students.
But the thing is, how I know script writing is not tedious, because that's the wrong word, but it's a drawn out process.
Yes.
And I don't know how many drafts you have, but I know it's a long, deep thought process involved.
It is a long, deep, yes, and you have inspiration, you write. It's a very intimate experience with your potential viewers. And it's like, you feel something that it just has to come out. It has to come out on paper. And I just write, and I enjoy it. In a way, I am experiencing this recurrence of life myself, because as a lecturer, you have that tedious repetition for years of talking about the same material over and over again. And
is that because you have to work to a particular curriculum?
Yeah.
Which I suppose
it's a hideous repetition, but I find myself enjoying every time, because I re-experience that with new students.
You always bring something new to the table, I guess.
Yes.
Or often bring something new to the table.
Exactly. And it also dawned on me, what if, seriously, there is a recurrence of the web of life? How are we going to cope with it? It's just simply enjoying every moment, I think. On a mundane level, I think that's what I would say.
And without putting you on the spot, when it comes to teaching, I do this all the time.
Yeah.
When you're teaching a new group of students for the first time,
yes,
how quickly do you know there's one in there that is something very special about the way they work and interact, ask the right questions? Is it instant?
Minutes. It's interesting when you stand at a podium, it's a different vista. When you look at those young people in their 20s, early 20s, everything all of a sudden becomes so obvious from there. The way they move, the way they express themselves, you just almost know their future.
Seriously?
Yeah, I can tell success. Not sure. Success. It's like, it's so obvious from there. Tiny little things what kids say and do and how they behave. Tiny little things, it's very obvious from there.
What, the way that they might, I don't know, their grasp of language, the way that they ask the right questions, they
the way they handle themselves, the way they're raised, the way they communicate, the way they understand critical thinking abilities, obviously.
yeah.
The way they listen, the way they look, everything is just written all over these people, and everything.
Because I would imagine that the teaching you do, and I don't mean this to sound patronising to anyone that's being taught at the moment, is you have to be, it's quite a high achieving kind of course that you run. It must be, mustn't it? I mean, you're skewing it to people that have to be pretty switched on to begin with. Because I assume to grasp a lot of what you're saying, you have to have to be tuned into that, don't you?
That's true. That's true.
You know, a bit like, I don't know, become a particle physicist, for instance, or cosmologist.
Yes.
You know, there's only a proportion of a proportion that really can grasp that kind of work. And I don't mean to sound patronising. I'm just being.
Right.
It seems obvious to me.
You're right. You're right. It's usually, if you're interested in percentages, I would say maybe 10%. Always, you have those brilliant kids. 10%. It's just very stable. 10%, 10 out of 100, usually are exceptional. And I don't even know why. It's not even an IQ thing. It's not even a family thing.
It just happens.
It's just
happens.
That's who they are.
Yeah, it just happens, doesn't it?
Just happens. Just that's who they are, and they're so different.
And that's improving in families. I mean, we all know families where you might have one super bright kid and one who's not quite as sharp. And that's, you know, then you can argue, well, it can't be just necessarily
family
genetic.
helps, but I don't think it's so easy to explain why some people are just simply, they have interest in life. They have interest in things. Kids come over and say, you changed my life. This lecture changed my life. They think about deep stuff. And some people, Facebook, Instagram, that's it. There's nothing beyond.
Oh God,
yeah.
Unfortunately, I know exactly what you mean.
Exactly. Well, that's normal. I think that's normal, but it's I don't know how to explain that. But it's a very interesting experience.
I'm going to have to call it a day, mainly because it's 20 minutes.
Oh, we're already done.
We're already done. And secondly, because the lights just gone. Yeah, brilliant.
This was fast. Thank you, Steve.
No, thank you. That was fantastic.
Thank you, everybody.
That was wonderful.